Welcome back to Up the Villa podcast for our match preview of Aston Villa against Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday. Huge game, really looking forward to it. But before we get into it, this episode is partnered and sponsored by SofaScore, the quickest football app going for live scores. You'll get team news as soon as it drops, and then you'll have all of the usual average positions. You will have all of the stats from the games. You'll be able to have everything at your fingertips after a game to analyse it, to just see how individual players performed with passing accuracy, how they did with their shots, etc., how many times they got dispossessed. So make sure you get downloading SofaScore. I know a lot of you have downloaded it. So the link to that will be in the description of this video. Justin, big game. How you feeling?
Yes, the second in the big 3 games in 7 days is upon us. Yes, I'm glad we played yesterday, to be honest. I'm looking forward to this now. They're coming thick and fast, and I know players love to play football, don't they? So they'll be absolutely buzzing for it. And I think the more I think about that performance against Ajax, the more I think just take it easy. We never got out of second gear. And now we're ready for Spurs. You know, they haven't played in the week, so we've got they've got a slight advantage maybe over us with legs, but I don't think we've got into second or third gear, so I think this game is ready. We're going to be ready for it.
Big game. And I've gone big for you. I'm bringing out the Up the Villa podcast, Luke Robinson, partnered with Justin, a masterclass on a match preview, right? So we'll go into my main bulk of the episode, and then we'll get into the predicted lineup where you guys at home can get fully interactive with getting involved with the show. So what I've decided to do is mix up the match preview a little bit. Normally we look at both teams, but we sort of vaguely run over the opposition, and then we look at Villa, etc., and we look at stats. But what I really wanted to do on this episode, because it does look like it is going to be a 2-horse race for the top 4 now. I'm looking at Man United, 11 points in the distance, and I'm really focusing on Villa and Spurs. So because we're playing Spurs, what I want to do is I want to have a look at a comparison of the 2 teams on how they're performing with the ball, how they're performing with set pieces, how we're conceding goals, who's looking better, and all these different stats. So we're going to run through this now, and we're really going to get an insight into both teams on the way we're looking so far this season. So Justin's going to be my right-hand man on this then. So expected goals for. So these are the goals that are going in the back of the net. These are the chances that we're both having. So from open play, Aston Villa have had 294 shots so far this season here, and Spurs have had 324. Aston Villa have an XG of 38.88, and Spurs have an XG of 37.83. Aston Villa have scored 40 goals from open play, and Spurs have scored 40. So generally what this is showing me that Aston Villa are slightly more clinical. We've had sort of less shots, but we've scored 1 less goal in comparison to Spurs having more shots and only scoring 1 more goal than Aston Villa. If we have a look at McPhee ball now and have a look at how McPhee's done, Aston Villa have had 100 shots from set plays and Spurs have had 84. Aston Villa have got an XG of set pieces of 9.13 and Spurs have got 7.26. Aston Villa have scored 12 goals from set pieces and Spurs have scored 10. Justin, anything surprising in there? You're on mute, Justin.
Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting. Sorry, when you look at the league table and you look at them stats, I suppose it's no surprise that we're fairly neck and neck, isn't it? Both teams like to attack, both teams like to get forward and create chances. As you say, I think we're marginally more clinical than they are. Set play goals, that's pretty good, isn't it? 10% of all of our shots seem to result in set play in goals. Yeah, I think it just lends into what we already know what this game's going to be. It's a very, very tight game. We played them back at the Spurs Stadium and they had a few missing. And I thought we played okay that day. I thought second half we played really well. I think it's going to be slightly different on Sunday, but I think the home advantage that we're going to get is probably going to tip it in our favour. But yeah, they're a threat, aren't they? They're a good side, and he's got them going at it, hasn't he? And I agree with you. I think, barring the Man United, I don't know, win every game, I think they're done. So it's us and Spurs for fourth and fifth, isn't it?
We are going to get on to what I think is the overriding factor of why Aston Villa are going to finish above Spurs. But we'll carry on with this. We'll break through it all. So this is expected goals against now. So these are the goals that we are conceding. So from open play, Aston Villa have faced 206 shots. We have an XG of 26.37 and we've conceded 21 goals from open play, which is amazing. Only 21 goals we've conceded from open play. That's remarkable to me. Spurs have faced 221 shots. They have an XG of 28.82 and they have conceded 23 goals. So again, we are sort of now kind of underperforming what we should be conceding. We should be conceding based on XG 26.37 and we've only conceded 21. Now we get into this next category and we know that this has got to be improved on. I think I always look at it is if our defence here is only conceding sort of like 21 goals from open play, but then we're conceding 13 from set pieces. I always feel like don't give a set piece goal away because you've worked so hard in open play. Don't be undone by, and I think, teams are getting creative. Like Arsenal, if I go back to this one, Arsenal this season have scored 18 goals from set pieces this season, which is amazing. So, it is a big threat in football now, but I'm still in that mindset of I don't want to be conceding goals from set pieces. So Spurs have conceded 8 goals from set pieces with a set piece XG of 10.35. So do you want to add anything on the set pieces, Justin? Because we did concede again from another one against Luton. So
yeah, we do seem to be susceptible. It's interesting when you break down these statistics over a season that in open play, it seems that the way we play and the way we set up works pretty well with defending our goal from being attacked and scoring against us. The double pivot obviously is a massive help because they're so good. And even given the amount of injuries we've sustained, especially at centre half, the amount of times we've had to change that pairing, then, in open play, they're pretty solid, aren't they? It's when we have to set up for set pieces that, whilst it's not disastrous, 13 goals, but when you look at against the other 4 teams in the top 5, it is the worst out of 5. So it's definitely an area that needs looking at. But I don't know. I think we probably lacked a bit of a dominant centre half aerially, like a Tyrone Mings would be. That kind of let's win everything. So we've done okay, but yeah, definitely an area to work on.
Yeah. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to the tactical pad in a second and have a look at how Spurs play. Trying to paint a bit of a picture here for you at the minute. So we're gonna lead on to stuff. So here we've got this general graphic that you all really like. So it shows the different teams' comparison on how they play. So Aston Villa this season, for a large period of it, were positioned slap bang in that central zone, which showed that we were fast and direct and slow and intricate. As the season's gone on, we've edged more towards this area, so we're getting more to that slow and intricate. But you can see here the 2 different styles of Aston Villa and Spurs. Aston Villa both in that slow and intricate with Spurs. We are having 3.8 passes per sequence at a speed of around just under 1.7, where Spurs are averaging just over 4.2 with a higher speed. So what this shows is that both teams want possession, but Spurs are keeping it for slightly longer and they're a little bit quicker. This leads me on to this next graphic now, which I think this one is absolutely fantastic. So it shows here on the first column the time in which each team has their sequence for. So Aston Villa's sequence of possession, generally before they are dispossessed, is 11 seconds, 0.47. Spurs is at 11 seconds, 0.45. So both teams, you can see, are very, very similar. And we are so sort of close towards each other. You've got passes per sequence, Villa 3.73, as I showed you just, and Spurs are at 4.18. But you can see here as well that Spurs' direct speed is slightly more than Aston Villa. So I find these graphics really, really interesting. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to move on to some of the players that are going to stand out for both sides. So, and I know, Justin, I really want to get your thoughts on a certain player who is not in the team as much, but he's got big numbers here. And these stats are based on per 90. So as we can see, Ollie Watkins' XG non-penalty is at 0.53. We've got Leon Bailey's XG at 0.30. Moussa Diaby's XG per 90 is 0.30, exactly the same as Leon Bailey, which that surprises me quite a lot because Bailey's played less games. You've got the expected assists as well from Leon Bailey at 0.33 and Moussa Diaby's at 0.20. Bailey's creating 2.22 chances per 90 and Diaby's creating 1.98 chances per 1.98 chances created per 90, and that's on Diaby. Does that surprise you? Because when I saw these, I was kind of like, that has surprised me a little bit that Moussa Diaby is third on Villa's sort of most sort of lethal player, should we say?
He does really, because he's been out of form for quite a bit of time now, hasn't he? He's been out the side for a lot of time. He started the season pretty well, and then Bailey had that epiphany after the Liverpool game and suddenly turned into, prime Zidane, didn't he? And Ronaldo, and he's just been absolutely outstanding. Probably our best attacking outlet behind Ollie Watkins. So when you look at Diaby, just pure statistically wise, then he's up there, isn't he? So it just shows he's still a big threat, and he's a player who I still think at some point he's going to have a real purple patch. And, probably going to play himself into the side. And I think by the end of the season, we might even see a front three of Bailey, Diaby and Watkins.
Well, stick around for this predicted lineup because that might be something that I'm going to predict. Right, so here we have Spurs, their most lethal attacking players. Richarlison is out of this game. He's got an XG of 0.57. Next, we've got Brennan Johnson, 0.33. We've got Son at 0.32. And we've got Maddison at 0.23. Right, so now we're going to get into sort of like the nitty-gritty parts of the game then. So this is where Spurs are generally controlling most of the games. As you can see, the blue is where Spurs have majority of their ball. The red is where the opposition are having the ball. And the grey is where we have those contested areas where it's neither or and teams get some joy and then teams don't get some joy. Aston Villa's is looking like this. So we have a little bit more of contested areas. And then we're building up through the back. And then this is the red area is where the opposition have more of the ball. So what we are going to do now is we are going to have a look at the tactical pad and we're going to have a look at Spurs and how they're going to line up and how they're going to play. So Royal might not play. It looks like Porro is fit for this game. So out of possession, what are Spurs? What are they trying to do? So they are high energy pressing, intense pressure on the opposition in the defensive third. They are forcing turnovers, regaining possession quickly. Maddison is pressing with supporting from Son. Son triggers the press, and then the attackers then follow and press on a man-for-man system. So Spurs, high energy, very aggressive in their press. Now, I spoke at the start of the episode of why I feel like Villa are going to finish above Spurs, and it's Aston Villa's adaptability. It's Unai Emery's ability to change game by game, to see how a team plays and alter and differ how we play. The one thing about Ange and Spurs is that they play the same way every single week. They are not adaptable to the opposition. They will play the same way and do the same things. And for me, that's at a disadvantage because Emery has got different weapons that he can use on this team. So the interesting things about their system are their fullbacks. Their fullbacks will be going into central areas. Udogie is the one that likes to get into these areas. So if Spurs are on the attack, you'll see him burning up that pitch as quick as he can to get into those attacking areas through there. If it's Royal or if it's Porro, generally you might see them on an average position around that area. But what they want to do is push Maddison further forward, Bentancur further forward, Basuma comes across, and then Royal comes across into that central midfield. Everybody will generally push up a little bit further. And then at the back, you can see here that they are left with a 2 at the back. Now, this is all about them containing. It's all about them having high energy. It's all about them pressing. It's playing on that front foot, rock and roll football type of style that they play. What you'll notice is that the back, there's the 2. There's a sweeper and a stopper. So the stopper's role is to engage and stop that attack, to stop that counter-attack. And then what you'll see is the sweeper is the player that's going to be the furthest one back that's going to sweep and cut out any of those attacks that Villa might have. It's not just Van der Ven who's going to be the sweeper. They alternate on what they do. So, it might be Van der Ven goes up and becomes the stopper, and then Romero's the one that's going to become that sweeper-keeper role as well. What generally Spurs like to do when they are defending as well is they like to be quite narrow and quite in that 18-yard box zone. When Spurs are coming up against teams that like to have more possession than them, they allow more space out wide. They allow opposition teams to have more joy out wide so that they can contain that middle part of the park and defend those central zones. So that's generally how they like to play. High pressing, high energy, and they are very suspect to counter-attacks. Now, what we've seen this season is that we've seen Neto has destroyed them in both games that they've played, because when they leave those 2 players at the back, they've got a lot of players that are further forward and they're exposed at the back. It's all about exposing. So what are Villa going to do? Justin, Villa, in my opinion, are going to sacrifice a little bit of the ball and we're going to play more fast and direct. We've seen it so many times this season that we can just play longer balls. And I think that's something that we're going to do. I think if I look at Spurs and I look at their pressing and I look at what they're going to want to do, on goal kicks, they're going to want to press. Everybody's going to want to move into those areas. Everybody's going to press up on Villa. It's going to be very difficult to play out from the back. But the beauty of what we can do is that we can adapt and we can go longer. So we can go longer to Watkins. We could go longer to Diaby's feet. And then on transition, we're able to turn and we're able to bypass a lot of the Spurs team. So a lot of information there. I feel like I've done a bit of a masterclass. Let me know in the comments how that was. But yeah, Justin, thoughts on what I've just explained, and then we'll sort of get onto the Villa lineup, and then we'll have a look at how the 2 can look together on this tactical pad.
Very interesting. Just put that graphic back up again. I do expect Porro to play right back, I think, because he's been one of their best players this season. Very, very good. I'm just interested in looking at the team that played, because they had quite a lot of injuries when we played them at White Hart Lane, didn't they? I think Brian Hill played on the left, so now they've replaced that with Timo Werner. Obviously, Maddison was out, so Kulusevski sat in the 10, but he's obviously now back out right. Brennan Johnson picked up the right-hand side in the role. So I think they are stronger in the front four than we played them last time. And they also had problems at the back, didn't they? They had no Deven, and Romeo didn't play either. So that I think Emerson Royal sat in and Ben Davies picked up. And they also missed Basuma. So they were beset by quite a few injuries when we played them last time. And we did manage to pull off the win down there. So they are going to be stronger. I definitely think that they've come through this, like we have, this problem with lots of injuries. But like you, I do think they tend to overcommit, and I think they tend to, I suppose, back themselves really with the way they play. You know, I love Ange. I think he's behind Unai. He's probably my favourite Premier League manager. So I think they back themselves. They've got a team that are fully fit, by one, probably, or two main starters. So they're coming to Villa. I think they're going to come and try and beat us. I don't think they're coming to do anything else other than to really, start flying back at us because of where we are, and we're the big threat to them, and they know what a defeat would mean to the rest of their season. They would be massively up against it to try and get that fourth spot. So it's a huge game for Spurs. I don't think they're going to be gung-ho, but I think they'll be very, very proactive in the way they press us and hoping to nick the ball off us in our sort of defensive third, and then try and sort of do it that way.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to come and they're going to, like I said, they're going to come and they're going to play their way. They're going to play their style. Yeah. And it's what do we do? And this is what we're going to get into now. So, chat, it's your chance to get involved now. So sometimes we do it where we do individual players. But what I want you to do is I want you to put your 4 defenders. So we obviously all know that Martinez is going to play for Aston Villa. So Martinez is going in goal. But I want your 4 at the back. So who are the 4 players that are playing at the back for you? And then me and Justin will talk over why you put those in there. And then we'll sort of go with and have a little look at what you've gone with then. So I'm going to say mine, Justin, and then you can do yours, and we'll have a little bit of that then. So right, so I'm going to go with Moreno, Pau, Longley, and Konsa. So my reasoning for this is as follows. I think Konsa at right back. I think what we've seen from him at right back against the bigger teams, Man Cities, the Arsenals, he's very good at defending 1v1. I think we're going to want to have that slight level of control at the back because I think they're going to test us, especially with that ball over the top. And I just think we'll have that more stability with 3 centre-halves in there. That's generally the gist of where I'm coming from. So what would yours be?
Exactly so. I think
yes, easy, easy.
I said we would play the back 4 that we played in Europe because I felt it suited us. And as much as we all think a manager would think, I've got to keep an eye on the next game because it comes so quick and it's such a big game. I don't think he does things like that. I think he just thinks this is the team I think can beat Ajax, and then we'll reassess, make sure everybody's fit, and then this is the team I think can beat Spurs. And I think Longley's been fantastic for me. Ever since he's getting better every game. He rarely lets us down. He's very good on the ball. Pau, although we all went into panic mode when he come off at half time, he quickly got alleviated at the end of the game when he said that was always the plan, just to play 45 minutes with an eye on the Spurs game, obviously. And then we had Luca Dean started on Thursday, and that's one of the positions we've obviously got 2 really good players, both fully fit, and we are, with 3 games in 7 days, we are able to make the call at left back. One's marginally better going forward, one's marginally better defensively. Dean's better defensively, Moreno's better going forward. For me, with the other 3 in the back 4, Konsa, Longley and Pau Torres, it allows us to play the more attacking threat on the left with Moreno. So Moreno plays left back.
One thing to note as well with the Spurs forward line of Kuleveski, Werner and Son is that it's very high and wide. So Kulusevski is wide, Werner is wide. What they want to do is spread our four central defenders or four defenders and keep them very, very wide. And by having sort of them wanting Moreno to occupy, Konsa to occupy, then that enables space in between these little areas where, Maddison can do his work and try and get it into Son as well. So more control for Villa, the better for me. And I think this would be my back four. I think quite a few of you were going with this. Some of you were putting Luke Dean as well. So thank you, everybody. Right, next up, double pivot. I mean, there's no point really talking about this, is there? Because we know what this is going to be. So in the chat, the two either side of the double pivot then. So we'll go for Villa. We're going to go McGinn, Holding, and then we'll go Douglas Luiz. And this is where it starts.
I will say that there is a point that I might make a different opinion on the double pivot, but we need to get further forward first before we have that conversation.
Okay, so we want the ones that are further forward now in the chat. Right, so what am I going with here? I am going with... Right, I'm going with Tielemans on the left.
You could put Watkins and Bailey in, can't you?
Yeah, okay, so we'll do that then.
And Tielemans, I think.
So Watkins and Bailey. Right, so I'm basically going to show you what my team is now. So we're going with Bailey out wide, right? And I'm going with Moussa Diaby. For me, this is my team, and this is my reasoning for this. I think Unai is going to play more direct against Spurs. And the reason why I think we're going to do that is because Spurs are going to want to press this. They're going to want to do this like man-for-man vibe that they're going to have going on. And I think to negate that for Aston Villa, Villa go a little bit longer to Watkins or to Diaby's feet. On transition, we're going to have more space. We're going to have players that are going to be able to run into green grass. And I think that's going to be a more explosive Aston Villa. So this is what I've gone with. Justin, what are you going with?
Right. So I think we all agree that 10 of those players are nailed on, more or less nailed on, I think. Arguments over the left back, not bothered who plays out the two, both are equally as adept there. But the rest of them pick themselves. So the question is, who plays the 11th position? Now, there's three people that can come into this side for me on Sunday. It'll either be Diaby, where you're putting him, JJ, if he's fit, and maybe an hour out of him, would then slot in where Tielemans is, and Tielemans slots back over to where he's been playing recently. Or the wild card is Tim retains his position in the double pivot, and McGinn slots into his usual position in the box midfield and allows Watkins and Bailey to do their usual job as the apex of the side. Now, that's a small gamble. I think he did okay on Thursday. And I think it's a huge step up to expect him to do that in the Premier League. I think he could do it, but I'm not sure the manager would want to probably throw him in. But those are the three positions for me. Now, if JJ is not ready and Tielemans and Immobile is not deemed ready to start in a big game like this, then it does leave us a slight conundrum. Who plays that last position? It's Diaby, maybe Zaniolo or whatever playing that role. And I thought Zaniolo did okay when he come on because he's had a lot of stick at the Villa and he hasn't been great. He's had moments, but it's a shame he hasn't been better because I think he brings a physicality which Diaby doesn't. So I suppose the question is, which feeds off how you've sort of explained how we could pick them off. He's playing that really aggressive, high-paced attack, which is effectively you're looking at a 4-3-3, aren't you? There, where Tielemans would sit in and the front three will
Yeah,
just be allowed to
because
wreak havoc.
especially my thinking with this team is that we know that Adoshi is going to go down here, so he's going to be playing around there. You're going to, and I think with Villa to have Bailey in that area there, and even Diaby to even just float around there a little bit when he needs to come and pick up the ball, I think would be absolutely massive for Villa. So I just think pace against these, because we've seen so many times that they've been done by counter-attacking teams, and I think we've got quality that can hurt them.
I think the key to unlocking them with pace is the key to winning this game. For me, probably more important than the pace is possession of the ball. They like to have a lot of possession, like we do, and I think whoever controls that statistic the best will win the game. Because if we can play those three attacking outlets up top and have more possession than them, then that would feed into that we're going to create more chances because we're going to have the ball for longer. But we have to find a way to counter them. And I think it's very easy to say we'll do this, this, and this. But I think managers have to look at where are the threats coming from the opposition? How can we nullify them and still allow us to implement our game plan and tactics and the way we want to play on them? And it's a real balancing act. And I think having this JJ injury has thrown up a little bit of a conundrum. And, you know, a lot of people in the chat saying Eric Boonham is not ready. And I do agree. Yeah, I don't think he's quite ready for a game of this magnitude. Do I think he's capable, if we were really up against it, to come in and do a job? Yes, I do. But I think looking at the other options, there are better options in this game. But what I think I mean is it is a little bit of a gamble to go with Diaby, Bailey and Watkins up top, because I think that can, if they have more possession than us and they're controlling the game more than us, then those types of players can't sit in and get hold of the game again. You're then relying on three players to outdo their midfield. And if Bentancur and you know, they really start dominating in the middle, it's a lot to ask of those players to suddenly change their game, which is, you know, not sitting in and tracking back and winning the ball and winning headers and putting tackles in. You're up against it. So it's a bit of a gamble to play Diaby, I think, but it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's such a huge game. I don't think we can get the team selection wrong, because what we can't do is give them any momentum in the game. We need to start quickly. First 20 minutes is huge in this game. We've seen the statistics when we score first. We are a very, very dominant side when we score first, especially at home. So if there's ever a game to get that first goal at home in the first 20 minutes, and in fact, I would love to see us attacking the whole 10 first on Sunday. I think that would be huge for us. We've seen it time and time again, that attacking the whole end first half, we've seen 1, 2, 3 goals flying in, game over. And that's what I want to see.
Love it. So a couple more little graphics and then we'll finish off then. So this was Spurs' average positions against Crystal Palace. So key things to note is that we've got the two central defenders who stay back. You've got the stopper and you've got the, hold on, let me get this right first. So you've got the stopper in there. Butchered this. Hold on. Bear with me. Right, let's go back. So you've got one in there. You've got one there. Right. So those are the two that I showed you. You've got the fullbacks here who are going into more attacking areas, joining into midfield. And then here you can see that this was Royal's heat map against Crystal Palace. You can see that he's very heavy down that area, but you can also see those little snippets here and here of him going into that central area. And then finally, we've got Udogie, who again has gone further forward into those areas and then making up those little midfield areas through there those attacking areas. So go on.
I think when you look at those heat maps there, and it definitely does lead into the thought process that you're coming up with, which is, you know, go for pace. And you know, I agree with you as well. I watched both the Wolves games against them, and they destroyed Spurs with pace around the back. but I just think he will probably rein them in a little bit. He won't want Villa to get into a good start, score a goal early, because he'll know that the home crowd, bang, it could be all over in 20 minutes. So I do wonder whether he'll rein those fullbacks in for the first 20 minutes, half an hour. A bit like, I suppose, we did against Ajax. Just sit in, frustrate the hell out of them, kill the game off, make it a real, if anything, a crap watch, because you're just thinking, oh, nothing's happening here. That would suit Spurs down to the ground, first 20 minutes, half an hour. Just kill the crowd, kill the game, and then build into it and build into it. So we've got to be on it. We've got to be massively on it.
We will be on it. Our manager will get this right. Big game.
Yes.
So in the chat then, get your score prediction. A couple of asking about Konsa. Konsa can play on Sunday. He can't play next week in Europe. Pau Torres and McGinn are fit to play. And Ramsey is going to be training tomorrow with a view to be involved in the squad or starting, or however that may be. So squad wise, we're looking bulky now. We've got Carlos back, we've got all our defenders back. Ramsey's close. Okay, Duran's close, yep. So we got options. We've got Rodgers who's getting minutes, we've got Irabunan getting minutes, we've got Duran to come back, we've got Zaniolo getting minutes. So yeah, there's options everywhere, right? There's options everywhere. So that's pleasing. One thing that I would tell you all to go and watch if you've not watched it. I know a lot of you love your content anyway, but go and watch that Unai Emery sort of 15-minute on TNT talking about Villa's tactics, because it's absolutely fascinating. I try my best to try and show you how Villa play, etc., but the main man is telling you how we play. And, the TNT guy had got this clip up of Matty Cash, and he was like, look at your fullback here. He's really advanced. And everybody's like, mistake. And Pau Torres, he was showing him the line defending, and Pau Torres wasn't in a line. And he was like, he's not in line. It's a mistake. So go and have a look. You'll get little intricate details. McGinn's on there as well. McGinn's talking about how he's been watching Villarreal players and learning. And I'd say the one big thing I took out of it is to have a player like McGinn being able to talk about like football tactics and just look at an image and be like, yeah, if you look at this is where I'd run before and now I'm running here and this is where he runs, etc. So, it's fascinating. Go and check it out. And, there was an interesting part that got me thinking for this game of how McGinn says that sort of like he knows where Watkins is going to go before it's even gone, the pass. And I'm thinking, Spurs. Watkins on your bike. So it's absolutely fascinating. Real good, solid insight. So we'll go to the scores then. So we've got 2-1 Villa, 3-1, 2-1, 2-0, 3-0, 2-0, 2-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 2-2. Right, Justin.
Rich.
Hit me with yours, Justin.
Right. I will say one thing before I give you that. I did put a tweet out last week I think on Sunday, and especially next week, we need to meet that coach when it arrives as well. So I'm hoping the club are going to put something out about timings of the coach arriving, because that last season was absolutely tremendous, meeting that coach. 2 huge home games coming up. Massive one in the league, massive one in the cup. So get down there early, meet the coach, show the lads what it means. We're going to win on Sunday. 3-0 Villa.
Oh, no, Justin. 3-0.
Attack the old end, early goal, get a second. They'll have a bit of a go second half, but we'll pick them off and get the third.
I am going 3. 3-2 I'm going with. And it's going to be one of them. I'll tell you why I'm thinking this game's going to go, right? So for whatever reason, it gets to 2-2. And unlike in the past, where we're the ones that concede, we're going to score. And it's going to I'm just going to, soon as the goal goes in to win it, That Champions League theme tune's coming on in my head.
It's anything like the away end in Luton when we got the third. It was amazing. So, yeah, if you're going to win a game, win it late. But, yeah, I'm going for a comfortable win.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it. But I'm feeling confident. Like I think we've got to back us now. You know, you've seen all the stats. We're pretty close. We're doing the similar things. So let's go. Let's bring our levels and raise it. So Sofa Score. There's a lot of you watching. If you haven't already downloaded Sofa Score, it helps this channel out. So as a sort of a thank you to enjoying our content or watching our content, all I ask is that you download this app for free, and you'll have all of these stats that I use on your device, on your iPad or on your phone, etc. You'll get the fastest scores. So as a thank you, just download it, and it helps this channel out more than you probably could imagine anyway. So the link to that will be in the description of this video. Or if you're watching on a TV or a tablet, you can scan the little QR code that's on the screen. So cheers, everyone, for enjoying this episode and getting interactive and commenting. It's good to see so many familiar faces. We are trying to go live a little bit more so we can just get that little bit more interaction with you anyway. So next up, then, we've got the opposition preview. That will be out tomorrow, probably around midday. And then we'll have fan cams. So if you are at the game and you want to come on, or, you know, little kid wants to come on and talk football, or you want to get into media, or you want to just, you know, stuff like that, or you want to get involved in the channel, then you can come on the fan cams and then we can see how it goes and maybe end up next to me and Justin on the screen. But yeah, so fan cams will be back. Then we'll probably have a match reaction live on Sunday evening. We'll have the debrief that will come out on Monday. And then we'll turn our attention to Europe as well. And then just a small little one on the Spurs fans, like, grow up, like Matty Cash and Royale, or what's his name? Who is it that there's the beef?
Benton Core, is it?
No, it's not him. It's the other one, the defender. What's the defender's name? Romero. Like, Romero. Just grow up, man. Like, they've made this, like, loads of beef around this, like, wait till Romero gets Matty Cash. What are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's like Conor McGregor, in it. You're going to do nothing. He's just going to do, like, just grow up. It's ridiculous. Like, it was a meaningless challenge that wasn't deliberate. He caught him. It happened that he'd had a serious injury and he got injured. Grow up.
He was fine.
Like,
he wasn't that bad.
Do you know what I mean? So, I've got to say it because it's just a joke that they're all sort of hammering Cash and stuff, and it's just ridiculous. So, there we go. Up the Villa, and yeah, see you soon.